Ed, it's so good to see you again. And Patty, it's so great to meet you. Good morning, y'all.
Yeah, nice.
Cheers. Hello.
Well, I got to give a congratulations to Patty to start off with because this is your first debut starring role. So, congratulations with that. Uh, Working on this movie, it seems to have been allow you kind of to work outside of your comfort zones. Both y'all are great comedic actors, but to be able to do a drama and do a drama like this, did this let you to kind of step outside and allow yourself to be a little bit more vulnerable?
It absolutely did. And I think it's like it was one of the draws of like getting to do it is it just felt like a rare opportunity. And, you know, it was the first script like that to come my way for sure. Like a lot of the other stuff that was coming my way was like, this dumbass girl is secretly an alien and she has no idea how she's gonna pass her finals or something like that. So it was like nice to get something that was had a lot of heart and was very grounded and seemed more challenging. Absolutely, for sure.
Ed, for your character Matt, it seems, for me at least, I haven't really seen a film that really portrays the male biological clock. You know what I mean? Is that something that kind of resonated with you? Because we always hear about female biological clocks, but to see a guy who's in his mid 40s that actually wants to start a family and in a way is redefining what a family is that one of the reasons that drew you to the role?
Absolutely. I think there are some aspects of this story that are maybe not terribly familiar to most people, and that's always a compelling space to play in as an actor, and to be a part of stories like that. I think, absolutely, I agree. Men do have a biological clock. It's not talked about. It's not as literal as the time cutoff is not as literal, but it maybe has a more emotional component for men. It's hard to define, but there is something to that. And Nikole did I think a really elegant job of navigating that and portraying it in a very compassionate way.
Yeah, this completely changed the way that I view surrogacy. A friend of mine actually just went through surrogacy and is having their baby coming up in June. And so she was actually the first person that I've met that's actually gone through this process. But y'all have brought up a lot of issues or a lot of things that me as like a lay person watching this from a distance have never even thought about. And like maybe like some of the boundaries, with you, Patty, is the way that you viewed surrogacy changed in any way after doing this film? Because for me watching it, it definitely has.
Yeah, I mean, I knew almost nothing about it. I knew very little to nothing about it beforehand. So it was very like Nikole is the smartest person on earth and does like an insane amount of research, and she also like has her personal experiences with that. So it was there were a lot of like, oh yeah, I guess, I guess that makes sense that they would do it that way. But um there were I was completely like oblivious to how that worked at all.
Nikole, it's so good to meet you this morning. How are you doing?
So nice to meet you too. Your background is very intense.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I really enjoyed watching Together. Actually watched it last night. Very heartfelt comedy, but I guess a dramedy as well. Definitely drama based. And I know some of this story you have a personal inspiration from because you've written a couple plays, one on surrogacy and another on egg donation. So when was the decision made? Like, let's put these two ideas together. Let's do a full length feature film and put this out to the world.
Um, I think my plays are very, they're a little absurdist, a little farcical. And I was curious to explore that type of relationship in a more grounded, real world, intimate way. And so I really just started from curiosity, which is how I write anything. It's just like, I want to see what happens too. I don't plan anything out. So I kind of feel like an audience member while I'm writing it. I'm like writing, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Oh wow. So that was fun. Yeah.
Do you write in a way that you know you're going to direct, or is that separate when you're writing?
I think while I'm writing, I, you know, your mind's eye is the camera kind of, you know, and so I think it's just a natural extension. And then when you get to the end, it's like when I get to the end of a script and then I'm reflecting on my like relationship with it or just how it resonates. And then it's like, yes, this is the thing I'm going to spend however many years trying to get made and making, because it's such a commitment. So it is like, yes, I would like to marry this story for X amount of time. Yeah.
I read that you had actually sent this script over to Ed Helms and kind of thought of it as a long shot, and then you were surprised that he signed on, and then adding on Patti Harrison, which just brings on a whole nother element to this entire film. How did the decision get made to put these two together?
You know, you just like, you shoot for the stars or whatever, you know, you're just like, all right. So you send to Ed and it's like, here's my fantasy of who would do it. And then he wants to do it. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, all right, well, here's my next fantasy. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's all happening. And they had such amazing chemistry and just like an ease about being together right away. And so it just, you know, it all fit together perfectly. And it was very fun to make the film. I mean, making a movie is not unlike incubating a baby or whatever. And it's like we're all endeavoring on this like very intense thing to like bring something new into the world in this finite amount of time. And we are strangers and it is very intimate. So we all kind of, you know, we're mirroring Matt and Anna's time together and our time together.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch. It was definitely a very heartfelt journey, and it was actually cool to see the male biological clock actually being represented in this movie.
Yeah.
So that's something we don't see a lot. So thank you for making the movie, Nikole. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching it. And thank you for talking.